Today marks 6 long months since the World Health Organization first declared a public health emergency over COVID-19. And despite the fast-rising death toll, now at more than 151,000 here in the U.S., there's still plenty of skeptics. People who believe this virus is no big deal. People like the president.
They have the sniffles, and we put it down as a test. Many of them, don't forget, I guess it's like 99.7%. People are going to get better, and in many cases, they're going to get better very quickly.
But could today be a turning point? As I'm sure you've heard, former presidential candidate and prominent Trump supporter Herman Cain has died at the age of 74 of COVID-19. Cain first tested positive for the virus on June 29th. That was a little over a week after he was at that Trump campaign rally in Tulsa, where he was seen surrounded by others, not a mask in sight. And while we'll never know definitively where he picked up the virus, the facts together are alarming. But are they enough to offer a wake-up call to those who see facts as stubborn but avoidable things? I'm joined by Amber Phillips. She's a political reporter and author of the 5-Minute Fix newsletter at The Washington Post. And Joseph Uscinski is a political scientist at the University of Miami and editor of Conspiracy Theories and the People Who Believe Them. It's great to meet you both. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi.
Professor, can I start with you? I understand taking risks for something you deeply believe in, like John Lewis walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. What I don't understand are people like Herman Cain and Louis Gohmert, who's a mask-averse congressman who tested positive yesterday, thumbing their noses at science and fact and taking risks that could cause death. Can you explain it to me?
Well, the problem is that many of our beliefs are not tied to truth or science or evidence. I mean, many of our beliefs are expressions of things that we really hold dear to us or to the groups that we're members of. So when the president comes out and says things such as coronavirus is the Democrats' new hoax, or when conservative elites come out and say in the media that this is being exaggerated, then the people who listen to them and trust them and pay attention are going to believe them, and they're going to act on those beliefs.
Well, then I know, Amber, what the professor's answer to my next question would be, but I'm not sure about you. Is this going to change any minds? Are any of the macho skeptics in Washington going to have a come-to-Jesus moment as a result of this, or is it skeptic now, skeptic forever?
Yeah, Jim, never say never. I'm skeptical that the skeptics would change their mind, and that's for a couple reasons. Listen, Herman Cain, sure, he's a big name to die from this virus, and as you said, it's pretty easy to tie the connections to the Tulsa rally, although we do not know for sure.
Yeah.
But he's not like a dominating figure of Republican politics today, and I think that could soften whatever impact his death might have. You know, in addition, he's 74 years old. He's a cancer survivor. He's the type of person that if you talk to some potential skeptics about the virus might say, oh, they need to stay home, but I don't. And the final point I'll make is that it's, the coronavirus has penetrated every single state in a deadly way. There's still a number of regions and that tend to be Republican regions where there hasn't been like a major outbreak. And so I could see Cain, being something like a headline that doesn't necessarily match with the reality of what number of Americans feel about the virus.
Professor, does it move anybody, or does nobody get moved about anything anymore?
In order for minds to change, I think the rhetoric coming from political elites is going to have to change. So when Trump starts taking it a little more seriously, when the Rush Limbaughs and the other people who are prominent on the right change their tune, then the people who listen to them will too. But in the latest polling I'm doing, I'm getting about a third of Americans who think that the coronavirus is being exaggerated for political gain. And there are behavioral intentions that are tied to that, such as not hand washing, not wearing masks, not social distancing. So these beliefs are going to make things worse.
Well, on the Twitter account of Turning Point USA, it was exaggerated, too, until the co-founder died, and the tweet was pulled down in the last 24 hours. Speaking of leaders getting it, Amber, Coronavirus press briefing stopped after the president suggested injecting bleach. And if I were a betting man, I'd say they'll stop again after him promoting hydroxychloroquine through a woman who believes in demon sperm. Here is a little bit of her with the president's reaction to some questions from the press.
Rather, they're using all kinds of DNA, even alien DNA, to treat people. Mixing human beings with demons. Nephilims exist these days.
I was very impressed with her and other doctors that stood with her. I think she made sense, but I know nothing about her.
I know nothing about her. I love that end. He said that several times yesterday. So can you explain, when I ask questions to reporters like this, they always say, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. How do you explain the president's fascination with a woman who I'll politely say is on the fringe on a good day?
Okay, I'm so tempted to go, no, but I'm going to try.
Please.
Listen, this video went viral on Breitbart. 14 million views, I think is the number. President watches that. We know his son tweeted it first. It made it to the president's Twitter account. This is just his base, or what he believes to be his base that he needs at this point to really, really like him and be super motivated to go out and vote for him in November. Because while he is trailing in the polls, I mean, this conspiracy theory stuff isn't working for him. I went back and looked at his polling averages in April, national polling averages. He was trailing Biden by 6 points. He doubles down on this stuff. Yeah. It's now 11 points averages in national polling. But he does lead in enthusiasm. So, there's just more Republicans who say, I'm super excited to vote for Trump than you hear Democrats say that. So
that's because they believe in alien DNA or something like that. Maybe that's it. Professor, last night Michael Kirk was here, who was responsible. He's the lead person on the new Frontline documentary, United States of Conspiracy, that came out last night. And I asked him if Alex Jones, and the thing is focused on the Alex Jones, Roger Stone, Donald Trump troika. I asked him if Alex Jones really believes the conspiracy theories he promotes. Does Donald Trump believe the conspiracy theories and the snake oil that he promotes? Does he have to be convincing or no?
I don't know if Trump is a conspiracy theorist in the way that we often think about it, like somebody who really believes these theories. I think he uses them, he weaponizes them, and he gets political gain from them. I mean, indeed, these theories turn off a lot of people, but they bring a lot of excitement to his base. And he essentially built...
Why do they bring... Is it because you're allowed inside? Is that the notion? What is the appeal of this conspiracy stuff to the average person? I don't mean to somebody who's suffering from mental illness or something, but from an average person who's relatively healthy.
Trump was not chasing a normal Republican when he entered the race in 2016. Those normal Republicans were tied up supporting Rubio and Bush and other Republicans. Trump had to find another audience for who he is. And he went after people who were already conspiracy-minded and people who are excited by his conspiracy theory messages. And he keeps doing it because he has to dance with the people who brought him to the prom.
Yeah. Amber, another thing I broached last night with Michael Kirk is whether this stuff has a shelf life. Your paper has done this brilliant chronicling. How many lies are we up to? 20-some thousand or something from the president, according to the Washington Post? Whatever it is. Lots.
Yeah, I don't know the latest. It's a lot. It's a full-time job for these people.
It is indeed. So is lying and spinning of conspiracy theories a function of the state of politics now? And in the time of Trump, or is it a new phenomenon in politics that's with us for, sadly, the foreseeable future?
This has always been a part of politics, right?
Not like this.
Exactly, not like this. It hasn't been like the mainstream, the president of the United States, the leader of a major political party talking about this, and a number of his supporters, including congressional leaders, falling in line. Yeah. This is a new dynamic. The Republican Party right now, looking at the polls, going, ooh, we might not have Trump as president in January, is trying to figure out what they want to be next. And that's where you get a lot of infighting between, the Louis Gomers of the world who are not going to wear masks and question anyone who's not loyal to Trump, and the never Trumpers and the people in between. They don't know what the future of conspiracy theories and lies and misleading statements is going to be in their party. Certainly, I think a number of them privately don't like it.
Professor, I only have 30 seconds. I've read some of what you've written, and you contend it's been around forever. But will it continue to be around forever at this level of intensity post-Trump?
If we get a president who doesn't engage in this sort of rhetoric, then things will change rather quickly. Just a lot of what we're experiencing right now is a Trump phenomenon. Him bending the Republicans to this rhetoric, him exciting people based on his conspiracy theories. But when elites change, then elite rhetoric will change, and then sort of the things we're talking about will hopefully be a little bit better tethered to the truth.
Amber Phillips, Joseph Uscinski, thanks so much to both of you. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you.